evening, everyone. I welcome those people in the gallery and also our councillors. And I open this meeting at 6 o'clock, right on the dot. The public is advised that it is council policy to record the proceedings of meetings of council on digital media to assist in the preparation of minutes and to ensure that a true and accurate account of debate and discussion of meetings is available. This audio recording is authorised by the Local Government Meeting Procedures Regulations 2015. First of all, I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners and custodians of the land on which we meet today, the Tomagina people, and pay our respect to those that have passed before us, their history and their culture. Item 1, record of attendance. We have no leave of absence and no apologies. Item 2, confirmation of the minutes of the previous meeting. There is a recommendation before you, councillors. Could I have a mover, please?
So moved.
Lisa. Deputy Mayor Edwards.
I'll move that.
Thank you. Could I have a seconder, please?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Thank you, Councillor Bramich. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Because they need to be identified and agreed on at this point prior to taking a vote to adopting the minutes. If there are no corrections or amendments, I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. Item 3, declarations of interest. I ask at this point, are there any councillors with a declaration of interest or any staff with a declaration of interest, as it needs to be noted in the minutes? No declarations of interest. I'll move on to the councillors' announcements and report. I have one announcement as Mayor. I wish to congratulate the Waratah Wynyard Council staff for a job very well done in bringing together the amazing spring-loaded program, a culmination of over 80 events being held across the month of October. Not only do these events cater for everyone in our community and beyond, but their diversity demonstrates the full colour of what our community does. And the pièce de résistance was our Tulip Festival that, despite the horrible weather, brought a good crowd to Guttridge Gardens, where people enjoyed a great music selection and a range of food offerings from our food street. I must also congratulate the Wynyard Band, who, despite the rain and cold wind, did not miss a note throughout their music set. Well done, everyone. There is a recommendation before you, councillors, on my communication. Could I have a mover, please?
So moved.
I'll second that.
Councillor Roberts, and seconded Deputy Mayor Edwards. Are there any queries or questions about my diary? Not at this point. I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 4.3, are there any reports from our delegates? Councillor Hyland, did you have?
Thanks, Madam Chair. I'll just read it. 4:40 p.m. on Saturday from Merrill Cropper. Please pass on my congratulations to the council staff and workers for their excellent work in preparation for this weekend's Tulip Festival. My first visit for several years. Well done, Merrill.
Thank you, Councillor Hyland. Item 4.4, notification of council workshops. There is a recommendation that the council note the following workshops. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Hyland.
So move. Light still on.
Could I have a seconder?
Seconded.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. Are there any queries or comments that the council wish to make around this particular recommendation? If not, I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. We now move on to item 5, our public questions and statements. Responses to public questions taken on notice from the previous meeting, nil received. Public questions received in writing. We have in 5.2.1 from Mr. Hutchison. There are various questions there, 14 questions in all with an officer's response. So I now move on to 5.3, public questions without notice and public statements without notice. And Mr. Ewington, I believe you have a statement and some questions. If you'd like to come forward. But before you read that out, I will read my bit of note as well. Stay there. That's fine. Stay there. The Council encourages community participation in its meetings through the opportunity for public questions and statements. Consistent with Council's core values, councillors and staff strive to ensure all people are treated with respect and integrity. We expect our residents and ratepayers to apply similar standards in their dealings with the Council. As Mayor, it is my responsibility to maintain the orderly conduct of Council meetings and to determine whether a question or statement is out of order due to the use of offensive, objectionable or defamatory expressions. I remind everyone that Council's new Council meeting procedures were adopted at the March Council meeting. In particular, it should be noted that a maximum of 3 questions may be asked per person. Any parts to questions are considered questions, or questions to be asked before a response is provided. There is a time limit of 3 minutes per person to ask questions. Once a question is answered, there is to be no debate on that question. Public statements are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes per person. There is to be no questions or discussion related to a statement. I ask members of the public to show proper consideration and courtesy in their comments. Mr. Ewington, would you like to read your statement, please?
All good. In relation to the major events being run by the Waratah Wynyard Council, consideration needs to be addressed for the size of the event and provide additional disability parking to the number of cars parked within the town of CBD to allow disability and wheelchair personnel access to the events. In 2005, when I came home from my severe injury, there was no serviceable disabled parking in the town centre. Approached the management at the time. I was told that the parking should be all suitable for able-bodied people and no way should there be any disabled parking at all in the CBD. It took 4 years of campaigning until John Smith, who was a new candidate of the council, became part of the council, who supported me, and we were able to create 2 disabled parking spots in Noah's car park. As you're aware, there's only a limited amount of disabled parking spots in the town centre in recognised parking areas. But because this major event we just had, there's several thousands of cars parked on the streets throughout the town, on the lawns, etc. like that. And the disabled people who have physical disabilities who need space to get out of the car, into the wheelchair and partake in the event. This did not happen. I did make a formal request for 4 additional parking spots to allow people with mobility difficulties to be able to partake in the event. And during my time in visiting the site during the day, I found one or 2 people trying to get their father or parent out of the car into a wheelchair, contesting with the curb and other issues, and found it major difficulties. So I feel this event has not really addressed the situation for the disability members of the community, young and old, who like to be part of this group and organisation. And I feel 4 extra parking spots suitable for disabilities with mobility issues was not too much to ask for. And I feel that in future the council should, because it's such a large event, it needs to address itself and try and consider many people with disabilities and mobility difficulties, as there is in Wynyard municipality owned, by the date of records I found out, in Wynyard alone, Wynyard municipality, there's 1,068 disabled display card signs issued. In the Circular Head there is 686, and throughout Tasmania there's 30,000 of them. So this highlights the fact that disability is a major thing, and the council needs to look at this for the future events. Would be much appreciated.
Thank you. And you have 3 questions, Mr. Ewington.
The first question. In relation to the major investment of $1.1 million for the English walking track upgrade, allowing members of the community to partake in the walking track, will the Waratah Wynyard Council provide the same source of money towards the ratepayers who have difficulty in walking the streets where there is no concrete footpaths to assist the members with limited mobility, being able to have good access and inclusion throughout the community. Question 2. Reference to the accident of the Wynyard Play Centre in September 23. Has there been an incident report completed and action taken to ensure safety with with signage and etc., including highlighting the risk? Question 3. With the upcoming Christmas event, December 23, which is a major event where a huge amount of traffic parking within the C2B, has the council made changes to accommodate the additional disability parking for pram and for disability parking and pram parking for the young mums with prams for the event, as this is a major opportunity for the children in wheelchairs and programs to be able to attend the event with parents and enjoy the activities. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ewington. I now ask Mr. Summers, our Director of Infrastructure and Development Services, to answer your first question.
Thanks through you, Mayor. The answer is yes, there is a similar source and an amount of funding set aside in Council's Strategic Asset Management Plan and Financial Management Strategy to infill concrete footpath, missing links and curb ramps throughout the municipal area.
Thank you, Mr. Summers. And questions 2 and 3, our General Manager will respond to you.
Thank you, Mayor. In relation to the incident that you refer to at the Wynyard Play Centre, the Rotary Park, I suggest is the one perhaps you're talking about. Council has certainly instigated inspections or audits, if you like, and they occur on a regular basis and in recent times by both external and internal qualified practitioners in relation to that piece of equipment. That piece of equipment is built and constructed to Australian standards. There is no deterioration or damage to that particular piece of equipment, so it remains open and operational. We are working with the manufacturers to determine if there are any suggestions that they have in relation to possible improvements, but at this point in time, no other changes have been made. In relation to your parking for major events, and bear in mind the Christmas parade or Christmas event isn't a council coordinated or run event. Clearly we have slightly different opinion to you, Mr. Ewington, around the provision of accessible parking at major events. We believe we go above and beyond in this space, and we believe we take certainly many measures to provide additional car parking spaces. In the Tulip Festival, for example, we produce an access guide that is available for all potential attendees of the Tulip Festival to ensure that they're aware of all accessibility issues and features and so forth that are available to them. We make additional disability parking or accessible parking available in the James Muir Community Health Centre car park, the community centre in Little Goldie Street, and clearly in the CBD parking area off Jackson Street. So those areas are either have or we place additional spaces in there. There is a balancing act that needs to be found because clearly there are still businesses and shops that are opening. So we need to balance the needs of not just our accessibility parking, but we also have to have provision for shop owners, employees and attendees of those particular shops as well. So it is a balancing act, and there's some limits to what we can do in that space. But we're certainly aware of the issues that you raise. We're conscious of the point that you raise. We don't receive complaints in this space other than through yourself. So we believe in the last few years we've made strides in this space. We've continued to improve and review, and we'll continue to do so into the future.
Thank you, Mr. Summers. So moving on to item 6, Planning Authority items. There are no planning matters in this agenda. Item 7, matters raised by councillors. Responses to councillor questions taken on notice from the previous meeting, nil. Councillor questions received in writing, nil. And 7.3, councillor questions without notice. Are there any questions from the floor, please? Thank you, Councillor Courtney.
An easy one. Because I don't read the paper and that, I don't know how much goes into advertising the Tulip Festival. So I was just wondering whether we could whether I could get a breakdown, perhaps, of what we do for advertising, like what we do in TV and what we do in media, because I didn't see apart from our council Facebook page, I didn't see advertisements. I was just wondering if I could find out what we do in that space.
Thank you. Mr. Summers? Can you? Crawford, sorry.
Even,
Mr. Summers, who's Mr. Crawford?
Thank you. We typically each year, Councillor Courtney will provide a report back to Council summarising the Spring Loaded and Tulip Festival events, and that typically comes sort of November, December, pending on when we can collate the information and when our data comes to hand. So we will make sure that that report includes those points that you raise. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Crawford. I'll move on to item 8, which is notice of motion. 8.1, we have a motion from Councillor Bramich. Would you like to put forward that motion, please?
Yeah, if I could move that motion, thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Bramich. Could
I'll
I have a
second that
seconder?
motion.
Thank you, Councillor Courtney. Councillor Bramich, would you please open the debate on this motion?
Just briefly, it's a safety issue, I believe. There's not many places around that I can think of, if any, that a no-through road has got the right of way on a through road. A few years ago, well, quite a lot of years ago now, there was a situation in Tollymore Road with Murder and Gully Road that had the right of way. And where's council changed that? And I think I'd like council to support this motion here. Site distance is an issue. There's room to make a bit of a corner in Cooper's Lane so that they got the right of way, and when they come down Anderson's Road, there'll be plenty of vision where they've got to stop and see the traffic. So I just urge council to support this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Bramich. Are there any further speakers, or is there anyone who wishes to speak against the motion?
I actually just want to speak for the motion with Gary here. Councillor
Roberts?
Bramich. I actually really defer to Councillor Bramich and Councillor Hyland when it comes to matters of traffic and road. The knowledge these guys have after the years they have on council is absolutely tremendous, and it's actually something that Gary's very passionate, Councillor Bramich is very passionate about, and I agree completely, and obviously we will go with the leadership of Councillor Bramich on this one.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further speakers to this motion? If there are no further speakers to the motion, I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. Item 9.1, Community Activation Grant, Round 1 and Update of Guidelines. There is a recommendation there to allocate funding to the following organisations under Round 1 of Council's 2023-24 Community Activation Grants Program.
So moved.
Thank you,
Seconded.
Councillor Bramich. Thank you, Councillor Roberts, who seconded that motion. Councillor Bramich.
Just briefly, I did have a couple of concerns, but they've been addressed, and I'm more than happy with what the committee's come up with, so I'll fully support it.
Thank you, Councillor Bramich. Are there any further speakers? Councillor Hyland, were you wishing?
I did have it on. Thanks, Madam Chair. It was very pleasing to see quite a few extra applications, and that people are, more than interested now and try their luck in the dip, but we can only go so far, of course, with the budget that we've got. But at least I think with more applicants coming in, we'll get some probably better quality applications, and really dig in and see where they fit into the community and what benefits will come out to those groups that get the money. But no, I think the committee's done a good job with what choice they've come up with, and I'm sure those clubs will appreciate the money.
Thank you, Councillor Hyland. Councillor Roberts.
Thank you, Mayor Dunham. I just actually want to commend Councillor Raw and Councillor Courtney for actually doing the community activation grants as a part of their portfolio. I actually called Councillor Courtney today just to commend her for the fairness in which they have done this. The actual grants are a massive resource for our community groups, and again, I must commend that everyone that has received funding is very worthy, and also the projects that weren't successful, we would highly encourage that they actually go again next round. Also, huge credit to staff at council, including our general manager, for the update of the guidelines for the funding for national and international representatives from our region. For those that are interested, they will find the details in this agenda. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further speakers, please? Councillor Courtney.
Yeah, just quickly, I'd like to say thank you to everybody who applied. I've been on the community grants committee before with yourself, Mrs. Mayor, and it's been a tough decision this year, because usually we have more funding than we have applications, and this year is the first year that I've had to actually go through the applications, and we've had more requests for funding than we have funding. And that was a first. So there's a lot of movement in our community, recognising that the council are here and we can help provide funding for their programs. I think there was a lot of good programs this year. We had some mental health programs, which I think is really important for our area, because that's a great concern for our area. So some of the programs this year were really, really good programs. Unfortunately, there were some that Councillor Rohr and I had to suggest perhaps we could bring two programs together, or there were unfortunately some that we had to sort of say, can you apply again next time, because we don't feel that this is a priority at this stage. But our clubs have been really, really understanding about the fact that this funding was very stretched this time, and I think that we did, it was a tough meeting, and I think we did our best to make sure that, as you say, Councillor Roberts, we were as fair as possible. So congratulations to all the clubs and the community groups that have receive funding in this round, and don't forget that this is an ongoing funding. It's not a one-off for council. This is we're going to do it again next year, and we've got another round coming up, so feel free to put your applications in, and congratulations to the ones that were successful in this round.
Thank you, Councillor Courtney. A note on page 21, round 2, it's open on the 1st of November, it closes on the 31st of December. Assessed over January and announced at the February council meeting, so there is another round coming up for this financial year. I'll put the motion if there are no speakers against the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.2, Open Space Sport and Recreation Plan, the annual report. The council note the annual status update on progress of the Open Space Sport and Recreation Plan 2017 to 2027. Councillor Hyland, your light is on. Are you moving this motion?
Yeah, happy to move this motion. Very happy.
Thank you, Councillor Hyland. Deputy Mayor Edwards?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Councillor Hyland, did you wish to speak to this motion?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. Yeah, council's now 6 years into this 10-year plan, and of the 204 recommendations made, 184 or 90% have now been completed or actioned. So it's a tremendous effort on the council's part. And on page 28, there's a long list of the projects. So I won't read them all out, but one of the larger ones is the Boat Harbour Surf Club. That'll be going out to tender in the November, December. Which is a major one. We've completed the car park out East Wynyard. There's just a great list, and the sporting precinct is well underway with the turf wicket. I think is going pretty well at the footy ground, and work has also commenced over at the high school on the other two ovals. So, no, it's been a great thing for the council and for Waratah Wynyard itself.
Thank you, Councillor Hyland. Are there any further speakers? Deputy Mayor Edwards.
I just wanted to speak to the key actions. We've got key action number 7, the Cam River Master Plan. I did have a question there, but it was answered in 9.3 on the art that was going in. I just wondered when that was going in, but in 9.3 it was answered that it'll be like January 2024. And key action 16, I think I seen that there, the feasibility study for the pathway between Wynyard and Stanley. has this study started, or do we have a date of completion for this study, and when will we see it back at the council table?
Through you, Mayor, the feasibility study, we're looking to get some external funding to do that study. So we have applied for a grant. The name of that particular grant escapes me right at the moment, but we have applied for a grant, so we'll be waiting to hear the outcomes of that. Now, if we're unsuccessful, clearly we'll look at other options. But if we're successful, we'll be able to proceed with that work. I suspect more likely in the new year than anything. But we're just waiting on the outcome of that at the moment.
Thank you, Mr. Crawford. Are there any further questions or comments from councillors? Yes, Councillor Roberts.
Just quickly as a reference, the council strategies or plans that are involved in the OSSR are the Waratah Community Plan, the Destination Action Plan, the East Wynyard Foreshore Master Plan, the Central Area Development Plan, the Age Friendly Communities Plan, the Youth Plan, Community Health and Wellbeing Plan, Strategic Asset Management Plan, Tourism Plan, Communication and Engagement Strategy, Boat Harbour Beach Master Plan, the ICEP Committee, Cam River Master Plan and the Open Space Sport and Recreation Plan are all sort of rolled into this, which goes to show the framework of which our council is operating on. This plan is 2017 to 2027, and it goes to show with the actions completed that our council is well on top of this and is delivering exactly what it has promised its community. So thank you very much, Shane and staff.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Any further comments, please, or queries? If there are no further comments or queries, I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.3, the annual plan update. The report, 1st of July 2023 to 30th of September 2023. There is a recommendation that Council note this report. Deputy Mayor Edwards.
I'll move the recommendation.
Seconded.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Deputy Mayor Edwards, did you wish to talk to this?
No, fine.
Thank you. Yes, Councillor Roberts.
Look, again, just in the details here, it'll say as of 30th of September 2023, 37 actions are in progress. 11 actions have not commenced and 2 actions have been completed. But when we go down a little bit, 30 of those actions are between 70% and 90% complete, which goes to show the efficiency of our council. And honestly, to the staff, thank you so very much.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further comments? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.4, Waste and Resource Recovery Strategy Annual Report. The recommendation before you, councillors, is that council note this annual status update on the progress of the Waste and Resource Recovery Strategy. Could I have a mover for that motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Could I have a seconder?
I'll second that, thank you.
Councillor Raw, Councillor Roberts, do you wish to speak to this motion?
Just again that again in regards to waste management, while we're not perfect, our council does have a good reputation in this area, and by 1st of July 2024 we will try and implement the FOGO curbside collection, so we are trending towards that. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further comments from the councillors? If there are no further comments, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.5, the Waratah Community Plan Annual Report. The recommendation is that the council note the annual status update of the Waratah Community Plan 2022 to 2025. Could I have a mover, please, for that? Councillor Highland.
moved.
Seconded.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Councillor Highland, would you like to speak to this?
Yeah, just a couple of points. Thanks, Madam Chair. Yeah, we're into our second community plan, and it's going quite well. And the main thing now, and the community so looking forward to it, is our couple of major projects, which with tenders have been let for our walk over the historic rail bridge, and I think that's due for commencement end of November, around that time. And also the what we call stage 2 down over the waterfall, for the platform underneath the waterfall, and I think there's something like a $2 million spend up there from council for this financial year, so certainly something for the Waratahrians to look forward to.
Thank you, Councillor Highland. Councillor Roberts.
I actually just want to take this time to commend Councillor Kevin Highland and the Waratah Community Board for the work they've done down there. Waratah is in a very strong position right now, and it's the things that are happening down there are revitalising the region, and it really is one of Tasmania's best kept secrets. And with the hard work of Councillor Highland and the community down there, it's on the up. So thank you, Kev.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further comments from the floor, please? If there are no further comments, I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.6, Resource Sharing Annual Report. The recommendation, there are two recommendations there for you, councillors. The first one is to note the Annual Resource Sharing Report, and the second, determine that review of the existing Resource Sharing Memorandum of Understanding with Circular Head Council, due to expire in December 2023, will be delayed until June 2024. Deputy Mayor Edwards.
I'll move the recommendation
Thank
as
you.
it is.
Could I
Thank
have
you.
a second?
I'll second.
Yep. Councillor Johnson. Councillor Johnson, did you second that?
Yeah, I'll second.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Edwards, would you like to talk to this motion?
No, I'm just happy with the recommendations, the 1 and 2 that you have there, and know that because of the local government review, that we have to extend until June 2024 till we get some answers there.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Edwards. Councillor Johnson, did you wish to add anything to this? Councillor Roberts.
Again, I just want to commend our council. Obviously, with local government review, the findings coming in, and then the changing of the plans with the state government, I would like to just recognise here that this resource agreement the sharing agreement has been in place now for a long time, over 10 years. And during this time, it has been to the mutual benefit of both Waratah Wynyard and Circular Head councils. A lot of the findings of the review, I believe our constituents will be happy to hear that Waratah Wynyard Council for many years had already been working towards an amicable solution for smaller regional councils, and I really believe we're not only a success story but an innovator in that area. So a huge credit to both councils and the staff and the management. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Councillor Bramage.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I guess I'll keep my questions till the review comes out early next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bramage. Councillor Highland.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Yeah, I'd just like to hope that the review board has taken a good look at what's happened here since 2008 when they're making their decisions, and hopefully they'll take some of this out and transfer it over and make good use of it, because we certainly set a bit of a benchmark all the way through. I'm very proud of that bit.
Thank you, Councillor Highland. I'd suggest that we are leaders, and in collaboration with Circular Head, I think that we endeavoured to organise that collaboration for the benefit of both municipalities. Are there any further comments? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.7, the quarterly report, community and engagement. There is a recommendation before you, councillors. Could I have a mover, please?
So moved.
Councillor Roberts, could I have a seconder, please?
I'll second that.
Councillor Raw, Councillor Roberts, do you wish to speak to this motion?
Again, just I sound like a broken record here. I just want to really stress that our staff are excellent. Their community service is excellent. As a councillor, I actually quite often ring up and the council, and the help that I receive as a councillor is also very much appreciated. And if people do look through these statistics, they will see the mammoth effort our staff go through in delivering probably the best service, in my opinion, in local government. So thank you very much to the staff of Waratah Wynyard Council.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Councillor Raw.
Yeah, I'd just like to bring everyone's attention to the amounts of requests that go through in the 3 months, and 535 requests have come to Council in the 3 months since the 20th of June, and it's great to see that 488 have been achieved and complete. 47 are open and being progressed, and the final few ones that don't get to completion are probably due to lack of funding and lack of money. So that's a huge amount of requests that come into council, and it's great to see such a high level of accomplishing whatever's requested or finishing those things off for members of our community.
Thank you, Councillor Roy. You raised some very good points. Are there any further comments from the floor? Councillor Hyland?
Thanks, Madam Chair. Just one I think that stands out for me is the Tri-Skills program. It's been still very strongly supported, and just noting there's 2 or 3, probably 4 different sports in there to when it first started. There's even 2, Taekwondo and Jiu-Jitsu. So, and Demure Theatre Performance. That's a new one for me, but no, it's really good, and it enabled another 50 students to participate and try out some new skills. So, no, well done to the council.
Thank you, Councillor Hyland. Are there any further comments from the floor, please? If not, I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.8, appointment of the Frederick Street Reserve Working Group. There is a recommendation there to appoint the following community representatives to the Frederick Street Reserve Working Group. Could I have a mover of that motion, please?
So moved.
Councillor Roberts.
I'll second that.
Deputy Mayor Edwards. Councillor Roberts.
As a region, we traditionally have a very strong football, cricket and basketball background, but what is often overlooked is the amount of support that we give other community groups and sporting groups recreationally, as is shown by the community activation grants results tonight. It is important to us as a council that we do these things fairly, and we do invite the community to consult, and I'm really looking forward to working with this group as a part of my portfolio with Councillor Johnson. And I really think that we can get some good progress happening at Frederick Street for our community. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further comments, please? If there are no further comments, I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.9, Customer Service Charter. The recommendation is that Council adopt the reviewed Customer Service Charter. Could I have Councillor Hyland? Do you?
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor Hyland.
Seconded.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Councillor Hyland, would you like to speak to this motion?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, just that it's one of Council's most important jobs, really. Customer service. You can't get anything more important than that, and you've got to look after every person in our community.
Thank you, Councillor Hyland. Councillor Raw, were you wishing to make a comment on this?
I'd like to put an amendment to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'd like to just put in an amendment under 5.1, just putting in 2 extra dot points there. I just would like to see that that council staff explain any decision-making processes and timelines that council may need to use. And the second one, dot point I'd like to put in 5.1 is when involving outside organisations, that the council be confident that the organisations follow and work within the customer service charter as well. I think it's really important when people engage with council that they feel empowered by what they're... Sorry.
We'll call for a seconder, please, first. Could I have a seconder? Deputy Mayor Edwards.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Councillor Raw, would you like to continue?
Yes, sorry. I think people within our community bring lots of things to council for consideration, and it's really important that they're listened to. But I think members of the community need to understand the processes that are going to happen, and have an understanding where they fit in within that process. And the second part is about when we work with other organisations, I think they need to be working within the Customer Service Charter as well.
Thank you, Councillor Raw. Yes.
Mayor, can we just clarify the wording again, Councillor Raw, so we can put it on the screen?
Oh, sorry.
Just so all the councillors are aware of the wording there. If you can follow that along.
So it was under 5.1.
Yep.
And it was under responsibilities of council. so that the council explain any decision-making processes and timelines that the council may need to use. And the last dot point was when involving outside organisations, that the council staff or council are confident that the organisations follow and work within the customer service charter as well.
Thank you, Councillor Raw. I'm going to open this for debate, this amendment for debate from the floor. So once you have read and digested the amendments, are there any comments from the floor?
Question?
Yes, Councillor Courtney.
Can I get some more information about it? When you say the council staff explaining decision-making processes and timelines, can you give me some more detail on what you're looking for? What that's hoping to achieve, and when involving outside organisations to get them to meet the service of charter, to you, General Manager, can we do that? Do we have influence over outside organisations to be able to say you need to meet our customer service of charter? Sorry, just questions. Sorry.
Yeah, look, where I see it all coming from is I think a lot of people come and engage with council, and they might think that their ideas or things that they're questioning about are going to get up and be final decisions. And so I think it's really important that when people come along and talk with council, they understand where they stand in the picture exactly, and they know whether they're going to be involved in any decision making or who is actually going to make the final decision about what they may be talking about. I think people need to know early on if what they're saying is perhaps something that goes against policy that council can't, put forward or work with their idea. I think it's just giving clarity so people, when decisions are finally made, can know that they understood the way the decisions were going to make and be on board with that. And with the one about involving the outside organisations in the policy thing, it's saying things like that they will be listened to. Well, I think that's an important thing, that if you're involving another organisation, that they are functioning and working that way, the same way as council. So, yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Raw. Councillor Courtney, were you clear? That's all right, Councillor
Can I
Courtney.
ask?
Councillor Highland, you...
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I'm fairly clear on that one because a couple of years ago, 3-4 years ago, we had a bit of a situation where down with the boardwalk, we appointed there was a group appointed. When they came back with their recommendations, they assumed those recommendations would go before council and get a tick off without any further. I think that's sort of, that for mine, that's how it went. And that to me sort of clarifies that. It's very upfront, saying, well, you can put them forward, but we'll discuss them before they go. Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Through you, Mayor, for mine with that first point, I think Councillor Raw's trying to ensure that the customer understands what council can influence and what it can't, and if so, what are the implications from a time frame perspective. I was trying to think of a practical example. It might be a speed limit change. So if a customer comes and says we want this speed limit changed, we would explain to them, well, this is the decision-making process and these are the people that are involved, so that would go to the Transport Commissioner who would make the final call, but in order to do so we need to prepare this information, put a report forward to council, etc., etc. So the way that I read that first one is explaining to a customer when they come in, what is the process and what is the time frames. If I've interpreted Councillor Raw correctly, that's what that's intending to do. So I think that fits absolutely within the charter as to what we should do to a customer. I hope that we do that now, but I think that adds adds some clarity to that and puts that in the document. So if I've interpreted that correctly, I'm quite comfortable with the change that's been suggested.
Thank you, Mr. Crawford. Deputy Mayor Edwards, did you wish to make a question or query?
No, Kevin kind of answered it, and I'm sure when Councillor Raw wasn't a councillor that she had dealings with the council, with the dogs on beaches and working within a working group, and I think that's where this timeline and processes and everything comes into it. And while she's trying to cement something strong for other people that come in and ask council those questions and that as well.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Edwards. Are there any speakers against the motion? If there are no speakers against the motion, Councillor Raw, would you like to close the debate?
I don't think there's anything else that I'd like to say about it, but I think Salisa did state it perfectly. I think a lot of people come in and engage with council, and they move away with lots of perceptions around what they've said, how that's received, what's going to happen with the information that they've given in. It's really important that they understand where that information can go and what it's going to do for the decision making. Is it going to have anything to do with the decision making? I think that you need to be clear about those sorts of things. And the one about involving the outside organisations, it's just gone off my screen. I did get it up. Hang on, I'll see if I can get it up again. Yeah. When you're asking, you expect council staff and services to treat all customers with respect, listen to customers and consider their views, provide complete and accurate information that's consistent and easy to understand. I think we need to ask the people that we work with that they do those sorts of things, that it's really important if council are having a way of working that they expect people that work alongside and with them that they do that as well.
I actually wanted a chance to speak before she closed it, but I didn't get a chance. Yeah, so am I allowed to speak, or is it closed now?
All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. I'm sorry. Was there anyone against that motion? Yes, I've got to go back to...
You just moved the amendment?
The amendment, yes.
So now the amendment becomes the motion.
The amendment becomes the motion. So,
have a mover and a seconder?
Yep, could I have a mover for...
You've got the mover and seconder, so you just recommence the debate.
Okay, we'll now recommence the debate. Thank you, Councillor Roberts.
Thank you, Mrs. Mayor. Look, I agree with what Councillor Rory is saying, absolutely. I just really want to stress this, absolutely, that I have no doubt and no disrespect to any local government. I truly believe our staff here at Waratah Wynyard are the absolute best in the business. I've had the privilege of working in this organisation, as has Councillor Courtney, and I feel privileged the people that I worked with and their abilities and their knowledge and their skills. I really appreciate the front desk, whether it's Janine or Teresa, Sam or Anne. I really appreciate them and their knowledge and their helpfulness. And I would, while I agree and we've motioned it, I would like to stress that we do already absolutely have the best in the business, even down to Kylie helping us when we ran for council. I cannot stress that I appreciate everything that everyone does, and their capabilities are absolutely tremendous, and I recognise that, so thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further speakers? Councillor Courtney.
I just wanted to apologise. I didn't want to seem ignorant. It was just that I looked at the first question and thought, is that not what we do? So I just wanted to clarify what it changed, because I thought that was what we do, that we explain to people this is the process, and that if people misunderstand or misinterpret or don't hear what they want to hear, that was a responsibility or an onus on the person that had come to council. I thought that we actually explained the processes when people asked things of us. I thought we were already doing it, so I didn't mean to seem ignorant or you know, not real bright. I just wasn't sure what we were doing that didn't encompass that in the first instance. I apologise.
Thank you, Councillor Courtney. No need to apologise. Are there any further speakers? Councillor Raw.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that in no way is there meant to be any comment here about staff and how staff work. But I'm a firm believer that we can always develop and we can always improve. And if we can add further depth into what we do, then that has to be advantageous for people in our community. And they were specific dot points that under the service charter weren't specifically drawn out. So they may happen underneath, but I think they're dot points that are important enough that they need to sit there as their own dot point. Yeah, it may be happening and things like that, but it makes us concentrate and look at those things and doubly make sure they happen, I suppose.
Thank you, Councillor Raw. Are there any further comments, please, from the floor? If there are no further comments from the floor, I'm going to put this motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.10, Public Facilities and Reserves Pricing Policy and Guidelines Review. The recommendation is that Council adopt the reviewed Public Facilities and Reserves Pricing Policy and Guidelines. Could I please have a mover for this motion?
So moved.
Councillor Roberts.
Seconded.
Councillor Highland. Councillor Roberts.
The senior management team has reviewed the documents with one recommended change to the wording of item 2.1.2 and a title change from Manager of Asset Services to Asset Services Coordinator. So if anyone's wondering what that's about, that is it, and it is recommended that we adopt the reviewed policies. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further speakers to this motion? Councillor Highland.
Oh, just a couple of little quick words, yeah. Councillor Bramage will probably support me in this one, but I don't know how many years ago we tried to start and deal with all this, the reserves pricing policy. It was a nightmare, and we had a document that sat on the shelf, I think, for 20 years before we actually dug it out, and the staff has certainly done a really good job, because there's that many differing situations in all our sporting clubs, and to bring all that together in a fair and equitable way has been a tremendous effort. So congratulations.
Thank you, Councillor Highland. Are there any further speakers, please? Councillor Bramage.
Yeah, don't disagree with Councillor Highland at all. I'm just wondering whether management has seen the Reserves Working Party document that was done 15 or 18 years ago. A lengthy document is probably worth a look at.
I don't know if you want us to comment, but we're certainly familiar with the document that you're speaking about, Councillor Bramage. Councillor Highland. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Councillor Bramage. Maybe a bit of light reading for all of us at some stage. Are there any further comments? Anyone wishing to speak against the motion? If not, I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.11, the Public Art Policy and Procedures. The Council adopts the reviewed Public Art Policy, Public Art Procedures and the Public Art Advisory Group Operating Procedures. Could I please have a mover for that motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Could I have a seconder? Councillor
Seconded.
Highland. Councillor Roberts.
Thank you, Mrs. Mayor. Look, I just want to actually stress that we in our community of Waratah Wynyard, in our region, have a really strong and vibrant arts culture, and with the amount of projects that are happening in the region at present, it really does go to show the talent that we have available. I truly believe that our council does a wonderful job with public art and also accessible art, and I'll just note that there are no changes to this policy, and this policy is a great one, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further speakers to this motion, please? If there are no further speakers, I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.12, 12, financial report for the period ended the 30th of September. The recommendation is that the council note the financial report for this period. Actually, there's a conflict here. Ended 30th of September, 31st of August. 31st of August and 30th of September. Okay, the recommendation should read, the council note the financial report for the period ended 30th of September. Could I have a mover for this?
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts.
I'll second that.
Seconder, Deputy Mayor Edwards. Councillor Roberts.
I just want to note here, if you look at the income statement as at 30th of September 2023, there's a lot of green ticks there. There's one neutral yellow and there's one red cross, which is materials and contracts. Our council cannot help the rising price of material. It cannot help the shortage of supply in this country. So to have a green tick in just about every area that we can operate in shows the absolute standard and the high level of management that we operate under. We owe a debt of gratitude to our senior management staff, whether that be financial or governance, and our financials would be the envy of just about any other council. So I commend you all, the councillors that have been here a long time, and also the management and the staff. You do a tremendous job making us look good. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further speakers to this motion, please? If there are no further speakers, I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.13, the Senior Management Report. The Council note this report. Could I have a mover, please?
So
Councillor
moved.
Courtney. Could I have a seconder, Councillor
second.
Raw? Councillor Courtney, would you like to speak to this motion, please?
Not to the motion. I'd just like to say thank you very much for the research and what the staff did for me on my request for the Australia Day consideration that we bring it to a workshop. I understand that there would have been a great deal of research in that, so I really appreciate the effort that the staff have made on that. I do want to ask a quick question. I don't think it's specifically relevant, but it usually comes under senior management report. Are we starting to, yourself, Mr. General Manager, are we starting to get more stability in the vacancies for our staff now that the uncertainty is off the table around local government review?
Through you, Mayor, certainly I would say it's a difficult environment from a human resources perspective at the moment. Retention, I think our numbers are okay, but certainly our vacancies are trending upwards compared to previous years, and it's a very competitive, obviously, employment market. We have had some vacancies that we've had long-term vacancies that we've struggled to apply, to recruit for, I should say. We certainly notice that with any vacancy we have at the moment, the number of applications that we would have had in previous years are well down. And we are certainly re-advertising roles probably more than we've ever done before. So that remains the case, and I think that's a broader sectoral issue. I don't think that's an issue isolated to Waratah Wynyard Council, is my view. I think there's some broader labour market factors and so forth that come into that. Are we filling most of our vacancies? Have we got some left? To answer your question specifically, we still do have a couple of vacancies that remain outstanding. The majority of our staff are sort of back from, we've had a lot of ill health this year, so the majority of staff are back from that, long service leave and others, so we are getting a complement back, but there certainly are still some vacancies, albeit less than what it was sort of 6 months ago, but there's certainly some vacancies that remain outstanding.
Thank you, Mr. Crawford. Are there any further questions or comments? Yes, Councillor Roberts.
Just to follow up on Councillor Courtney there, while I don't speak on behalf of the staff, I would like to suggest that we haven't filled them vacancies not because we cannot, but more in our effort of due diligence to find the right people to be a part of Waratah Wynyard Council. Obviously, this is a very effective and efficient council, and we do believe in having the right candidates. And secondly, in regards to the working groups that we name in these meetings, and such as the Frederick Street Working Group tonight, I would highly recommend that the community go and have a look at the agenda and look in the senior management report and actually find which elected members are representatives for different areas, because if you have information that you are seeking, as has been touched on in regards to staff, please by all means go and speak to the elected members that are responsible for those areas in our governance. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further speakers, please? If there are no further speakers, I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.14 minutes of other bodies and committees. 9.14.1 minutes of other bodies. Waratah Community Board held on the 22nd of September 2023. Could I have a mover, Councillor Highland?
So moved.
Could I have a seconder, Deputy Mayor
I'll second that.
Councillor Highland, would you like to speak to this
Oh,
motion?
just a couple of comments. Pretty good meeting. The Waratah Tyre Park has got a little bit of publicity of late, but it's not the actual name of the park. It's only referred to as the Tyre Park because of all the truck tyres, mining truck tyres that were put in there to sort of stop a bit of a cave-in many years ago. And there's a little bit of work. That's one of our projects this year, to do a little bit of work around there. And one of the pleasing outcomes, we did have a couple of community representatives finally come along. There's a 15-minute time for any community representatives that want to come along and ask questions, and at the end of each board meeting, and we hadn't had any for quite a while, but two gentlemen turned up, and I think most of their issues we answered. So yeah, good to see.
Thank you, Councillor Highland. Sounds like you resolved it well. Are there any further speakers to this motion? If there are no further speakers, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.14.2, Sustainability and Environmental Advisory Panel held on the 19th of September. There are two recommendations there. One is that you note the unconfirmed minutes and endorse the following recommendation. From the meeting, Council identify and facilitate mapping of food security-based partnerships, and the SEEP and relevant councillors attend various sites, Waratah, Somerset, etc., to expand the focus areas of interest of the group. Could I have a mover for that motion?
So moved.
Councillor Courtney has
Seconded.
moved. Councillor Roberts has seconded that motion. Councillor Courtney, would you like to speak about this motion?
Obviously I support the motion, and I think it's a great idea if we start to focus on the greater area, but I'd just like to say good job to the CAP group for what they did at the Tulip Festival. This group sort of got up and running in a couple of months, and within no time at all, they had a massive yurt down at the Guttridge Gardens Tulip Festival. They managed 2 articles in the newspaper, therefore following. I think this group is a credit to themselves, because unfortunately the last couple of months, Councillor Edwards and I have both had personal things to overcome to do with our health, and we haven't been able to attend the last couple of meetings, and this has not dismayed the group at all. So Engineering Manager Daniel Summers, and special shout out to Dana Hicks, does an absolutely wonderful job. This group, I think, is setting an example for community groups. These are an incredible bunch of people. They take the role really, really seriously, and they actually put me to shame in how seriously they take their role in this group. So credit to them, credit to what they achieved at the Tulip Festival, credit to the fact that they're making themselves really well known by getting their articles in the paper and people know what they're doing, and credit to the fact that they've started to broaden and say, well, let's not just look at Wynyard, let's look at the other areas and look at what we can do there. So kudos to the group and kudos to the staff.
Thank you, Councillor Courtney. Are there any further speakers to this motion? Councillor Roberts.
I just again, I want to credit Councillor Courtney and Deputy Mayor Edwards with this group. This goes to show that a proactive community and a proactive council working together can really achieve some positive outcomes. The work these guys are doing is absolutely innovative, and really they are on the cutting edge of helping people in this region. And again, I'm just so proud of our community and the people in it. and the skills they have and the knowledge and qualifications they have and their willingness to contribute to the rest of us. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further speakers to this motion? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.14.3. Audit Panel Committee held on the 19th of September 2023. The recommendation is that Council note the unconfirmed minutes of the Audit Panel Committee. Could I have a mover? Councillor Bramage.
So moved.
Thank you. Could I have a seconder?
Seconded.
Councillor Highland. Councillor Bramage, did you wish to speak to this motion?
Oh, and you say that they got their finger on the pulse and I think everything's going to plan.
Thank you, Councillor Bramage. Are there any further speakers? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.14.4, the Accessibility Working Group held on Wednesday the 20th of September. The recommendation is that Council accepts the notes of the Accessibility Working Group held on the 20th of September 2023. Could I have a mover? Councillor Courtney.
So moved.
Seconded.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Councillor Courtney, did you wish to speak to this motion?
Actually, I was going to ask a question. I noticed that the strategy and the policy are sort of about to come forward to final draft. Just wondering how much of our final draft considers mental health as an accessibility issue, or whether this group is basically focusing on physical disability and accessibility. Is it a mutual, more than one, or is it singular?
Thank you, Councillor Courtney. To whom are you addressing the question?
The members of the committee.
Okay. Members of the committee.
Through Mayor, in the absence of any other response, look, I haven't got the document in front of me, so I'm not quite sure, but I'm happy to take the point and have a look. But I couldn't be sure without any certainty, without having the draft in front of me, to be honest.
So you are happy with that response, Councillor Courtney? It will be looked into.
I'll wait till I see the draft before I comment.
Thank you. Okay, any further comments on this particular motion? If not, I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Carried unanimously. Item 10, matters proposed for consideration in the closed meeting. The recommendation is that Council resolves by an absolute majority that the matters listed below be considered in...
Seconded.
Sorry, who? Councillor Highland moved. Councillor Bramage seconded that. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. Item 11, closure of meeting to the public, that the Council resolves by an absolute majority that to go into the closed meeting to consider the following matters. Could I have a mover for that motion, please? Councillor Roberts.
I'll second that.
Councillor Edwards seconded. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously.